Ooh, I should drink some water. Why do women have to be someone's mother or daughter or sister or friend to be seen as human and deserving of respect? That is the question that I want to answer. I want you to think about. I want for you to sink into your heart and search your little heart and try to figure that one out. And I want you to maybe even go a step further and say, why is it I'm only willing to support women that I approve of in some way, that I look to in some way? Okay? So keep that little question in your heart and in your mind. And we're gonna search that through 3 little topics. We're gonna go through Netflix's Adolescence. I know that a lot of people have talked about it. There are no spoilers because even the producer of the show has said there's no fucking spoilers. We all know that the boy did it, and we are on a journey of taking a look into the little boy's life, his family life, and how we got there. There are a million lessons we can pull from it. Again, that's another thing that the producer of the show has said. There's so many lessons to be learned and even more to be learned. He's like, maybe you can see some shit. Like, how are we getting here as a society? Because while the show it's not like a true crime. It's not inspired. It's not a documentary. It's not a docuseries. It's a dramatic, just made up story. But it was inspired by seeing 2 different crimes of that nature happen in his own country. A little girl got stabbed to death by a little boy over in this town. And then about a month later, the same crime happened, but like clear across the country. So he was like, wait, the fuck? It's not like these are little boys that are friends telling each other to do this. This is like widespread. What's going on? And so he wanted to take a look into what that's like. And it truly does tie into the traditional marriage and traditional wife shit, because he is a bit of the, like, he's the leader of the home. And so we're going to dive a little deeper into adolescence and social media's impact on how we see women and how we treat women, because I want you to search your little heart. Then we're going to talk about Bree Olson. If you don't know who she is, I will explain. I'm not a deep diver. I'm not here to give you that. And then on April 13th, she filed this, and then her man, he did this. I've heard enough of the details of what's happened to hear the red flags that I know of. And I did do some research. She was on the Single Mom Attorney podcast. I watched the entire thing start to finish. And then I did watch the Do We Know Them podcast, and they did a deep dive. They kind of go way back when for Bree, and they bring you up to date onto what's going on. I watched both of those to get some more insight. And on my TikToks and my social media, I've gotten a couple details wrong. Because again, I've heard enough of the red flags to have formed an opinion and kind of see what the fuck's going on. But I'm not here to give you like every exact detail. I want you to think critically about the situation. And I think when you can learn to see a woman that is maybe the complete polar opposite of what you are. You're a dainty little stay-at-home mom, and you have a beautiful little life, and your life is so perfect. Well, I want you to be able to look at 24-year-old girl who does OnlyFans and look at her and see her as human too, because we all deserve that, especially among women. And then we're going to talk about the tragic story of Cyntoia Brown. If you don't know who she is, I implore you to buy her book, search her up on whatever fucking website you want to use. Cyntoia Brown, she's the author of her memoir, and buy the book to support her. Her story is such a failing of our whole society in so many ways, generationally, and how it all landed on her, and the strength and vulnerability that she has been able to display should inspire you to do the same. So we're gonna see how these 3 things truly do connect, and I hope at the end you're willing to look at women that are not like your mother, your sister, your best friend, and still love them and want to lift them up. Okay, I'm going to give you a brief rundown of the 4 episodes of Adolescence, just so that you have an understanding if you haven't watched it. Sometimes I get it. I'm like, I don't want to watch that shit. No, I'm good. Somebody else told me about it. So I will give you a brief rundown. There are no spoilers. This man has made it very clear what he wants this to kind of inspire, and I hope this honors that. The show starts, I think this is a very important detail. I don't know if it was an artistic choice or not, but I think it's very interesting. The show kind of starts where you see the dad's work van, and then the show ends with the dad's work van being vandalized. and he's kind of the patriarch of the family. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I picked that up and I thought that was really interesting. Like, you see the father's ultimate, like, whoa. In the first episode, they very, very, very much want to paint Jamie, the boy who commits the crime, as a sweet little boy. He's got little freckles. He like looks like a tiny little guy, like, oh, like a sweet kid. He even pees his pants when the cops come in to arrest him. So you really get the impression that he's a little boy. He's got a mom and a dad and a sister, and they're all, you've got the wrong boy, you've got the wrong boy. Like, they're trying to paint the picture. This is your sweet little baby boy that you thought would never. This is your little baby boy. Like, I even looking at him was like, oh my God, he looks like my little son. Like, oh my God, this is, oof, you know? But in that episode, all that really happens is the little boy gets arrested, and we do find out that he does kill the little girl. They have it on actual like security footage. You see him walking and talk to the girl, and then stabs her to death and then runs away. And you're left like, oh my God, even the father, and thankfully the father does not say, no, couldn't it be my son? He sits there and says, how could you? And like, you see the father kind of break down at the end of the first episode. The second episode is at the school, and the school was very rough, and I feel like teachers are very stressed and overworked and underpaid. There isn't a lot of like room for feelings or room for different families, even in the Title I schools. There's a lot of just like, sucks to suck. I don't know, keep up, or I don't know, no kid left behind. You. Who cares anyway? And so the school, you can get the sense of a lack of empathy, a lack of teaching, a lot of consequence. Like, there's a lot of yelling. And I've read online that that's I guess a little bit accurate of what school was like for some kids in the UK. But in this episode, in my opinion, the biggest takeaway was the social media aspect. Like, they didn't realize that the girl, Katie, was making little comments and calling him an incel and doing all that. But not to put the blame that she was bullying him, because if you go back in the episode, her best friend says she did not ever want to be around him. Like, she was a little bit creeped out by him. She didn't want to be near him. So it seems like this was the only way that little girl felt like she could defend herself. And that's why I don't like to poke the bear. I don't really like to talk shit at people, because I'm like, I'm not here to cause trouble like that, because that's why we're scared of men, because of shows like Adolescence that highlight. If you even dare put an emoji on their social media, they're gonna stab you to death and kill you. Like, I think that part I want to highlight, like how scary even social media use can be for little girls. Do you know what I mean? He's terrorizing her in person, making her feel creeped out, where she's trying to avoid him at all costs, because obviously look what would happen if they did come near each other. He's gonna hurt her. And he's getting all this hurt and blowing up over some emojis. Like, that is like such a failing of the little boy. Do you know what I mean? And in the school, we see that there's not a lot of teaching. It's a lot of get back in line and blah, 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 just harshness and rudeness. So that's basically the whole point of the second episode. We learn about the social media, and we can see that school is also not like the softest place for these kids where they're getting guidance. In episode 3, this is where we get to see the sweet little boy from the first episode for the little fucking monster he had hiding inside, and how he was like, okay, I could see how you would absolutely stab a girl to death. You get fucking angry. But he is a little boy. I know it's a show, it's a fictional show, but going off of that, he is a little boy. The little boys who did commit the crimes were little boys. Their brains were not fully developed. They're still young. Where did he learn how to act that way? In this episode, he has the second psychologist evaluating him to try to understand, why did he make this decision? Like, why, how did he do this? What did he understand what he was doing? You know, she's trying to understand what's going on in there, and asking him a series of questions. You can see his complete disregard and disrespect for women. He talks to her like she's a complete fucking idiot, very demeaning, kind of mocks her. You can tell she kind of almost is a little biased when she walks in his favor. She comes in bringing him marshmallows that she brought from home. She like cares about him. She's genuinely treating him like a child and trying to kind of give him that motherly sweetness. But in the first episode, he doesn't even really care for his mom. He didn't even want his mom as his appropriate adult. And in this episode, even the motherly lovings that she's giving him, it's not impressive to him. He still talks to her like shit and treats her like shit. At one point, he's standing over her screaming in her face, like, you know, when somebody's trying to scare you and they're towering over you, screaming in your face, slamming on the table. Like, it gets extremely intense for a little boy like that to have the nerve to talk to a person like that. It, you know, it does seem like, holy shit. And so you see this little boy for like, oh, okay, if he had a knife, I could totally see how he would and like freak the fuck out and kill her. And even at that point, she's like, okay, and she has to like shake it off. The meeting is over and it's all done. But in that episode, when one of the questions when she's evaluating him, she talks about his dad and she's saying, oh, what was your dad like? And he's like, oh, he was a normal dad. She asked him if he had anger issues and he's like super defending his dad, but he's like, he was a normal dad. Every now and then he'd get mad. One time he tore the whole shed down in a proper rage. So like, okay, we get the picture. It's the dad that he gets angry and slams a door, bangs his fist on the table, you know, gets mad and breaks the whole fucking fence down because it didn't work. You know, one of those destructive dads that does have anger outbursts, that does not know how to control his anger, and then isn't providing emotional support to his children or his family in any capacity. His wife is probably doing a majority of the child rearing because that's her job, because he's got a business. He's got to take care of shit. He's got to work. He's got to earn the money. Sound familiar? In the third episode, that's the part that really struck out to me, was the way the little boy described the dad and also just made it sound normal. He's a normal dad, like everybody's dad. And that is kind of what dad, when daddy comes home, like the dad in fucking A Christmas Story, daddy's gonna kill Ralphie. That's always what I think of. That's a summary of episode 3. And then in episode 4, we get a closer look at the dad and the family, like kind of as a structure and as a unit. You can see how the dad reacts to things. His work truck gets vandalized. These little boys spray paint nunts on it, which I guess means like pedo. Like that's in English, in American English, we would be like, you know, pedophile or pedo. But they put nunts on the van, and the dad loses his fucking mind, chases this boy down, grabs him by the throat, and is like screaming in his face and telling him to get out of here. Like, okay, you fucking anger nut job. That's not even your, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you know, an anger outburst that makes you uncomfortable. Like, also, like, your son is the one that murdered a little girl, and you know that, you've seen it. You can have a little bit of like, not like shame, but like a little bit of acknowledgement that like, fuck, the community is upset. And like, if I don't want to leave town, if I'm going to stay here, I guess this is how they're receiving me right now. Do you know what I mean? Like, I live in Colorado where the Columbine shooting was. The mom of the Klebold kid, Dylan Klebold, the mom, she acknowledges, my son did that. That was a horrible thing. She's had a TED Talk. She also wrote a book. Like, she's got a very powerful message of almost like that two things can be true at the same time type shit, you know? Even me, I had one of my favorite uncles passed away, and he lived a hard life. He had many wives, many children. I've got cousins I haven't seen since God knows when. I don't even know if they would know I'm their cousin. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I got an uncle. And when he died, even as sad as I was in my grief, I felt like I owed it to the people that he hurt to be like, I know that I'm sad that he passed, but I also know that there's probably people that are happy he's not here anymore. And I wish all of us peace. Do you know what I mean? You gotta understand that, you know, there's lots of perspectives on things. And I just think his response and his reaction, the dad, having such an anger outburst and responding with violence is such a red flag and such a, like, see, kind of moment. Like, oh, okay, it's adding up. The math is mathing. Here we go. This makes sense. And then he's a fucking asshole. He does the, oh my God. I was like, this is what's wrong with your fucking family. Like a fucking asshole that spray paint on his fucking truck. He goes and gets a bucket with soap and water. Like, paint washes off with soap and water. I'm so fucking sorry. Shut the fuck up with your stupidity. You know, goddamn well soap and water. He just makes a big ass fucking mess. The wife is like, what's going on? He's like, I gotta clean it up. I'm sorry. I'll clean it up. Of course he doesn't clean it up. She starts cleaning it up because you can't leave water on the floor like that for that long. And of course it didn't fucking work. It's like, and then he's like, come on, we gotta go to the hardware store. And then he orders everybody to get in the car. And then in the car when they want to listen to the music. And I know that in between it, he's kind of nice to them. And he's not like barking at them and ordering at them, but he is like this big aggravated force, and everybody just has to listen to him and like do what he's doing. And then his son sees that as the example. That's how you act when you're mad, and you're the man, so you get to, and all the girls listen. And when Katie didn't listen, Jamie, let her know what was up. Like, it does all make sense. These traditional men that want to be the leaders of the home, but don't know how to fucking leave work at work and not bring it home and, take the wrath out on it. You're polite at work. You're Mr. fucking salesman, getting the job done, CEO at work, but your fucking family knows you as a fucking monster, calling you Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. That's not a good father. That's not a good partner. That's not a good husband. And I think Adolescence highlights that and many other things. And it's important to see how when fathers are not being fathers and invested in their children's life, giving their sons a safe place to land and letting them know, yeah, but I feel feelings too. Daddy cries too. Yeah, daddy said sorry to mommy. You know what I mean? Like, when little boys are not seeing that as an example, and then when they have no place else to turn but social media, and social media the internet in general has so many fucking pitfalls and black holes and rabbit holes to fall down. And then they're seeing these men, these fucking Andrew Tates and fucking Jordan Petersons and Ben Shapiro's and all these fucking manosphere fucking men's rights kind of fucking guys online. Of course they're gonna run to that. They're gonna look for male leadership because that's what they want. They're not getting it at home, and what they are getting at home is horrible. And these guys are kind of close to dad. It kind of makes sense. The math right there is mathing, so they go ahead and listen and fall down those rabbit holes of social media. Misery loves company, and these online spaces are the perfect landing spot for these boys to go, and it gives them someone to blame instead of a place to heal. And this brings me to the real life example of how much the internet hates women, especially mothers, especially pretty mothers, especially sex workers that happen to be mothers. Okay, we're gonna talk about Bree Olson. Bree Olson herself was on the Single Mom Attorney podcast. It was like an hour and 21 minutes. I watched every single one of them, all of the minutes, and I was listening to what she was saying, and she very much seems like a young girl. She's 24, by the way, because lots of people online like to get on her and act like she's full. Her brain is still in the final stages of fully developing. She's a very young girl, very young mother. In that, I mean, her baby's not even a year old. She, in every sense of the word, she is a young mother. So she was on the Single Mom Attorney podcast. I watched the whole entire thing, and then, because I wanted to hear what she had to say. And then I also listened to the Do We Know Them podcast, the entire episode. They did a bit of a deep dive of Bree Olson and 2K and all that. The girl on the podcast kept being like, well, I'm a mother, and so I would never. Well, I bet, looking at you and looking at her, number one, you're different ages when you had your children. And number two, the judgment is just, it's giving privilege. Like, I think it's yucky when you don't really know someone's entire history. She wasn't even really that forthcoming with her background when she was on the Single Mom Attorney podcast. And she asked her directly questions about her growing up. She was like, I think my life was okay. Like, yeah, I think it was great. I remember thinking the same thing. It takes a long time and a lot of soul searching sometimes to look back and realize, oh shit, that wasn't normal. Oh. And she's still really young. She's also, she's not making very great decisions. She's not hanging out with good people. I don't want to make it seem like I'm condoning everything that she's doing and being like, she should be excused for everything. No, she definitely needs to reevaluate some of her things. But they asked her on the Single Mom Attorney podcast, and she said, yeah, obviously when I get custody of my son, I'm going to change where I'm living. I'll change my working hours. But her point was, what does it matter what I'm doing when I'm not with my child? When my child is with their dad because she wants to share custody, what does it matter what I'm doing with my time? And honestly, I'm having such a hard time understanding what the fuck does it matter what she does when the child is not in her care. If they truly start to split, she's like, well, maybe we could do months at a time and months at a time so the baby's not on the airplane. You know, a lot of her content, she even said, she's like, yeah, I post rage bait. I post shit to piss people off because it gives me more views and she makes more money. Like, you know, she made it, I don't know, hearing her talk, I was like, this girl sounds like she's kind of like, nope, I click into this mode, like, and then I can click back into this mode. And she's willing to do what she has to do to accommodate her child in her life. The only reason she lost custody was because he filed for custody like 4 days. I actually don't know the fucking timeline, so I'm not even gonna make up how long, but it was very soon after birth that he went into the court kind of behind her back before she was prepared. It wasn't like something they talked about and they could have done together. It sounds like it was done behind her back in an attempt to kind of get the first lick and, you know, knock her while she's down. And then he filed a motion to get a restraining order against her. She is young, postpartum. She thought that a protection order might keep her away from her child. It might hurt her for custody reasons. So she got very scared and said, what do I have to do so you don't come after me with the protection order? And he said, well, give me majority custody and let me take the baby to Texas. And she was like, okay, fine, because we still have, that'll be the temporary order, and we still have a final hearing, and by the time we get to that hearing, everything will be in order, and I won't have the protection order, and everything will be fine. Like, she wasn't giving up her kid. That's why she wasn't crying. That's why she wasn't a mess. She was trying to strategically protect herself while maintaining that she wants to be a part of her child's life. Like, that's the one thing, I feel like that's the one main thing to hear from her, is she wants to be a part of her child's life. But going back, when she was pregnant, and it was really cute and it was aesthetic, and she went to Paris for her gender reveal and they mistakenly told her it was a girl, or whatever the issue was, whether it was rage bait or whatever, all the girlies were behind her because it was so pretty and aesthetic, and everybody was against the father. Nobody wanted, oh, he's a deadbeat, oh my god, he's so horrible, blah blah blah. When they broke up, Bree herself has made claims, and I'm just telling you what's going on. This is for entertainment purposes. Nobody better come for me in any way. I'm just telling you what has happened on the internet. Bree has claimed that there was domestic violence in their relationship. She's even shown pictures online with bruises. That was on the Do We Know Them podcast. So I don't know about you, but I tend to believe victims, because for women to come out and claim that there was abuse, there's never an upside for that. There's never really a silver lining. You don't really, it doesn't help you in any way. If anything, it hurts you. In many cases, it hurts you, because people just are gonna come after you and try to discredit you and tell you what a piece of shit you are. So once she had the baby and they broke up and they're fighting for custody, at some point she has mentioned that there was domestic violence in their relationship. She has also mentioned several times, even on the Single Mom Attorney podcast, I feel like she kind of alluded to potentially postpartum depression, or she just kept saying like, well, I'm a young mother. Well, I'm a young mother. Like, he's not even a year old yet. You know, she is a young mother. Like, she has expressed that there was potentially domestic violence in their relationship that caused their breakup. And then she has expressed she feels maybe is experiencing postpartum depression or any number of mental health issues potentially. She's said that online. I just want to pause on the Bree Olson and just remind everybody about Britney Spears and what everybody did to Britney Spears when she was a young mother. Do we remember that? She was a young mother in crisis. She was publicly struggling. She was making unsafe and unwise decisions, driving with the baby in her lap, smoking cigarettes and shit. She was acting erratically, shaving her head, all kinds of wildness. She was making bad decisions and unsafe decisions, doing things that we would not really approve of around children. And she was also being publicly humiliated, mocked, and made a fool, right? And then what happened? The courts stepped in and her children were removed from her care, and her mental health continued to waver. and the courts continued to step in and people took control of her life. And now when we look back on Britney Spears, as a society, we have empathy and we realize, oh shit, that wasn't nice to do that. Also, let's talk about Kanye West for a second, because when there's a woman who's having a public mental health crisis, we turn to ridicule and mockery. Kanye West has very publicly been having mental health meltdowns for years now. It's only getting worse. His life is only declining. His wife just left him. And the conversation around him continues to have mentions of mental health. Like, oh wow, he's really taken a dive after he lost his mother. He gets a lot of empathy. He gets a lot of explanation, which is absolutely appropriate. There is a mental health journey going on that we're publicly watching, and it is hard to watch. And he doesn't, you know what I mean? He's saying hurtful things, and it's really hard to watch what's going on with him. And with Kanye West, we can very easily say, oh, it's mental health. After his mother's death, he really declined. And we can give him all of these legs to stand on so that we don't destroy him as a human and honor, like, well, God, he was such a great producer. Remember College Dropout? Oh my God. And we can always like, oh shit, Kanye. But when it's a woman, we will very quickly turn to ridicule, mockery, and laughter, and women will very quickly jump on board. And and when you are one of the voices trying to say, hey, so what if that was your sister? What if that was your mom? And you're like trying to be that voice of reason, you're looked at like, oh, what are you doing? Like, I'm sorry, I'm just not being a pick-me. I'd rather be called an endless girl's girl than a fucking pick me any day. Cause you know what? 2K is never gonna pick any of you little bitches that are riding so hard for him right now. I guarantee you that. I fucking guarantee you that. You were on Bree's side when she was all cute and pretty and you wanted to be her. You wished you were the one pregnant with some hot guy's little baby. And then as soon as she had the baby and they broke up and you couldn't root for the cute little family, you were like, well, fuck, he's single now. Maybe he'll pick me. Maybe he'll pick me. Maybe 2K will pick me. He's not gonna pick you. So anyway, if you wanna like fully understand what's going on with Bree Olson, Do We Know Them podcast does do a really good deep dive. They're judgmental in their delivery, but nonetheless, you can really learn all the details. And then the Single Mom Attorney podcast, you can hear her speak for herself. And you can go back to one of my episodes of Emerging Motherhood where I had a divorce attorney on. There are certain red flags that you can hear if you've ever experienced time in the family court system to kind of be like, oh, I get what's happening here. Bree has gone to a couple, like I know a lot of her content is rage bait, and even when she does shit that isn't most of it, I don't know. When I see her content and the way she said it, I was like, yeah, it does seem like all this shit is for show, and she really does have an online persona, and then she has who the fuck she actually is as a human, because she is a human. She's posted herself at like domestic violence protests where she has a sign, and she's made content about, there's like some New York Kings player that has crimes against him. Again, I'm not here for the details. I'm just saying, like, it never serves in your favor to say that you were a victim. But if you have been a victim and you have a platform, you're probably going to use your fucking voice as loud as you can. You're going to do whatever you can. And I just feel like that says a lot about her character. One of the main comments I've gotten, and one of the main like talking points people want to use is like, oh, why should we, so if we're going to support women, should we support the Resilient Jenkins? Should we support moms like Ash Trevino? They're fucking different. This girl is still just 24. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, Resilient Jenkins, once you got 4 or 5 kids, you got kids that are helping you with your baby kids. You got family members that are willing to step up and help you. You don't got to be homeless and sleeping in the fucking kitchen on the floor and all that bullshit that they're doing. And you're still choosing to be with the man. At that point, I think supporting a mother like that means cutting them off. But at no point do I think it's okay to be like, you know what? You know what's really going to get this mother in gear? Let's call her a whore. Let's call her a piece of shit. You know what? When I was little, when my mother had people tell her what a shitty mom she was, that was when we had the best dinner ever. Like, come the fuck on. All the people that claim they care about the little baby in the Bree Olson situation that are all in my comments. Mothers like her, her baby is not even a year old. Their permanent orders hearing for custody is the day before the baby's first birthday. They are still within this period of temporary orders. Her baby is not even a year old. Even in my personal life, when I meet somebody that they have a baby and it's their first birthday, my first thing is, oh my God, congratulations, you made it through the first year. Holy shit, holy shit, holy shit, you made it through the first year. That first birthday is for you because all that baby did was sit, eat, and poop, and you had to do every goddamn thing. They maybe started walking that day. Okay? Like, come the fuck on. But because the internet still likes to come for mothers, if they're, don't be pretty, don't you dare be confident, don't you dare fucking fuck a cute guy and then leave him. What, bitch? I would have taken any bullshit he was giving me just to be with him. Like, there's girls that still ride hard for Chris Brown. Like, we got a ways to go, ladies. Like, come on. But let's talk about a couple facts that very quickly people like to forget when we're talking about a young mother. Postpartum depression affects 1 in 7 mothers. Young mothers, especially those without support, are at a higher risk. Women recant abuse claims all the time, not because they lied, but because it doesn't get them help. It just makes their lives harder. So yes, women do recant claims. Doesn't mean they lied. It means people came after them. So they thought maybe this will shut them up. Maybe this will make me safe. I thought people would care. Fathers who pursue custody win 60, 70, sometimes up to 80% of the time, depending on the fucking little family court system you're in. It's that if you've never been in the family court system, you cannot look at any parent, man or woman, and be like, oh, you lost custody? Must be a shitty parent. It's not that easy. It's not like criminal court where if you can't afford an attorney, one will be appointed. Nope. If you can't afford an attorney, figure it the fuck out. Oh, you can't, your motion is denied. Oh, I don't care. His is approved because you're an idiot and you couldn't figure out how to file it yourself. Denied. Get out of here. It's not a gentle place. It's like they're overwhelmed because the divorce rate is up to 50% and second time marriages is up to 80%. The family court does divorces, adoption, all that shit. They're overwhelmed, overloaded. They don't got time for you guys to bicker in the family court system. They're going to be like, okay, go, bye, good luck. I don't care. Blah, 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 blah. And it doesn't always shake out to be fair or correct. Going back to if anybody actually cares about the baby in any situation, Bree Olson specifically, because everybody, when they want to act like they care, they just talk about the baby. Well, if you care about the baby, one of the greatest predictors that a child is going to be successful in life and thrive in life is the quality of their mother's happiness when they're a child. So wishing that the mother fails is not wishing that best for the child. Women like Ash Trevino, you know how you become a mother like Ash Trevino and the resilient Jenkins and you're just like clung to some man, is because every time you spoke up and said, oh, well, this happened, people were like, shut the fuck up, no it didn't. Shut the fuck up, no it didn't. And that's what they're doing to Bree Olson. And do you know what that also does? It sends a message to all mothers, especially young mothers, to shut the fuck up and know your place. I get mad because the opposite of Bree is a trad wife, basically. If they were on two ends of the spectrum, we got one mother that is doing OnlyFans and hanging out with fucking Santos and like doing dumb shit for sure. And then we have on the other end, a mother who's like baking bread and homeschooling. That's like, there are two ends of the spectrum. And so if you're saying she's wrong, you're saying that if she's like the ultimate wrong, this is the ultimate right. And this isn't, because this isn't a good mother either. This one just focuses on the man. This one, Bree Olson's, she's on a little journey and she needs support. Do you know what I'm saying? She doesn't need people, and especially women, shitting on her. And let's talk about sex work for a second. In a previous episode, I had Jasmine Jafar. She's one of the top earning OnlyFans creators. One of the sweetest, kindest, I fucking love her women I know. We follow each other on socials. We DM each other back and forth. She's a fucking sweetheart. I love her. You can't pick and choose which women deserve protection. If we don't stand up for sex workers, You leave the door open for all women to be exploited and discounted and not be seen as valuable. In Jasmine's case, she is highly educated. She is an actual bar association attorney in the state of California. Or no, Arizona. I don't know where the fuck her fucking law shit is, but Jasmine is a fucking attorney, a real attorney, a practicing attorney. And she realized that I don't like this. I like to fuck and I like to do this shit. And I don't know why people have such a hard time understanding. Some women like to fuck. They want to get filled up. They want to fuck, have fun. And they got big titties and they want to get paid for it. Or they got a tiny little waist and they want to get paid for it. You're just mad that they're doing something that you don't have the nerve to do. But that doesn't make what they're doing wrong. I think people get so mad, especially when their families support them. Like Camila on OnlyFans, social media. The girl, Camila Araujo, the girl from Brazil. She'll have her mom, her dad, her little brother. Like, because what are you going to say about it? She's doing whatever the fuck she wants. Truly, a millionaire could do whatever the fuck she wants. She's got the love and support of her family. You're just mad because she's doing something different, and that's a you issue. That's an issue for you to deal with in your heart. If you don't like the corporate life, if you don't like the 9-to-5 grind, that's up to you to figure out something else to do. I'm not saying OnlyFans, but you can't be mad because somebody else is happy. That should be a signal to you in your heart to realize, I'm not happy. Let me do something about it. Get mad at yourself, not mad at them. Do you know what I'm saying? I just feel like there's a lot of that happening with Bree Olson. And let's be honest. We're gonna learn a little bit. I'm gonna teach you something your mother should have taught you. Bree Brown, she is an expert on feelings, like quite literally. That's what she studied. That's what she does. She has many TED Talks. She has explained, she goes through all the feelings and will explain them all and why you feel them and where they come from so that you can understand what's going on. And when you know that, when you feel it, you can see, oh, I see how that math is mathing. Judgment can only come from one of three places. You either want to feel superior of someone. The reason why you like to look down at Bree Olson as a mother is because it makes you feel better as a mother. Now you don't feel so bad for screaming at your kid earlier this afternoon because, well, at least I'm not Bree Olson. At least I got custody of my kid. It doesn't make you better. It just makes you feel better. That's where that judgment comes from. Or to create distance from discomfort. You realize, oh, fuck. What the fuck would I do if my man left me and filed for, or what would I do if I left him and he did take custody of the kids and I didn't have custody? Oh my God, could never be me. What a fucking cunt. What a bitch. Oh my God, could never be me. You're gonna judge because you don't want to put yourself in her shoes. It's too scary of a thought. It's too uncomfortable. So you're gonna create distance by judging. Doesn't make it right. Stay humble because you realize you could be in that person's shoes that you're laughing at. Do you know what I mean? You got to understand life is a journey. Or we judge because of societal norms. Oh, the homeless guy on the street, he must be a lunatic. He must be an idiot. He must be a drunk. I get to judge him because that's what our society accepts. Oh, she does sex work. She's a whore. I get to judge her. I'm better than her. Societally, we have decided that. So I get to do that. Oh, you're gay? You're not welcome here. We, as a society, do you see how it's a slippery slope? Saying these are the people that deserve our respect. These are the people that we get to judge and look down on and pretend they don't exist and shit on them however we want to. You know, like when bum fights was cool on the internet, like it's never been cool. Now we see them with a little more empathy. We're not even calling them homeless anymore. They're the unhoused population. People are coming around to having empathy for others, but maybe you could just see all people as people, especially women. Maybe we shouldn't always have to be like, hey, that could be your mother. That could be your sister. What if it was your daughter? What if it was your friend? What if it was you? We shouldn't have to do that. We should be able to see people as like people. Because if we're gonna talk about and supporting mothers and loving mothers, it means all mothers, including the struggling mothers too. And when they're young mothers, this just all ties into the bigger thing of how we as a society see women as objects and not people. We are objects for entertainment. We're not people. When Bree Olson is pretty and cute and fun, we follow her and go, girl, oh my God, the baby is gonna have so much, you're gonna be such a cute mom. And then when it's fun to kick them around and tell them they're idiots, They're there for our entertainment in that capacity. And this is how it could creep into your life or your community, or in ways that you didn't even realize. There is a story of a girl, Cyntoia Brown. Okay, she wrote a book, Free Cyntoia, My Search for Redemption in the American Prison System. She was 16 years old and she was being trafficked by a 43-year-old man, Johnny Michael Allen. I want you to remember that name. I want you to know his name because his family insisted that Johnny Michael Allen saw Cyntoia as a sweet young girl and offered to help her. He was assisting her get on her feet and help her in this world. And even the fucking prosecutor said he was picking her up as a prostitute. That is not a detail we're gonna dispute. So there is no fucking dispute, not from the prosecutors. The only pieces of shit that still defend him are his family members that aren't willing to ask themselves the question, what if Cyntoia was your daughter? What if she was your sister? What if she was your mother, your friend? They only wanted to see their side of the story. And they're gonna judge and judge hard. So the only people that fucking don't believe this shit is them. So, search your own heart. That's up to you. But Cyntoia Brown was 16 years old when this 43-year-old Johnny Michael Allen picked her up outside of a Sonic. This was a well-known prostitution area where you could walk around, men knew to pick you up. The way she got there was because her 24-year-old boyfriend, and I say that with cheesy fucking quotations because why the fuck are we ever calling a 24-year-old man with a 16-year-old girl her boyfriend? That is literally statutory rape. If that's not in the laws in your area, that's gross. That doesn't make it right. It's a little girl with he is a young man himself, but very flawed and very much older and very much knows better. Okay? So Cyntoia was with her 24-year-old boyfriend. They called him Cut because he was cutthroat, because he'll fucking hurt you. He sent her out on the streets to go make some money because for some reason, Cyntoia dropped out of school. She was living at an in-town suites hotel and she supported him and herself via this involuntary prostitution. And according to her, he threatened, beat, and sexually assaulted her on multiple occasions. This little girl was a victim in every sense of the word. She's now a survivor. She's an activist. She's an author, an amazing woman. But at that time, she was absolutely a child victim. But when this fucking pervert, Johnny Michael Allen, picked her up, he bought her a cheeseburger from Sonic. In the car, he had guns. Again, I don't fucking know every goddamn detail. I might get one or two wrong. The point of this is to see how this is a slippery slope. This young girl gets picked up by this older man. She is scared. The whole fucking time she's scared. At some point in their house, she sees a bunch of guns. He's saying some shit that's scaring her. The conversation is just getting creepy and gross. Put yourself in her fucking shoes. Because if you want, there's several documentaries. There's 2 documentaries. There's one on Netflix. There's another on other streaming services. If you Google her fucking name, you will find all the information you want. And it is worth watching. Her story is heart-wrenching. It's a display of the failures of our court system, similar to the family court system, and it's also a display of our society's dismissal of women and seeing them as so disposable and always wrong and, the sinful one. These are very damaging ideas to hold as women. So at 16 years old, she was being trafficked by the 43-year-old man. She's at his house. At some point, she feels uncomfortable. There are guns. She sees the guns. He was ex-military. Somehow she gets out of having sex with him. She tells him, I don't want to, she's a little girl. She's a little girl. She finally convinces him, no, I don't want to. And they're laying there back to back is kind of how she describes it. He starts poking her, touching her, and she thought he was trying to have sex with her. And she was like, no. And then he said something and she thought he was reaching over to get a gun. And so she was like, oh my God, he's going to kill me. She was, terrified, filled with fear. This old man is trying to touch her. Ugh. So she gets a gun that she had and she shoots him and he dies. She has always claimed it was in self-defense. Cyntoia Brown was tried as an adult. There were several hearings held to decide. It was almost exactly like Adolescence. It was really wild watching Adolescence and then watching the Cyntoia Brown documentary kind of back to back, because it's almost the exact same scenes, but in a real documentary and with a little girl on this side. And she's not getting the empathy. She's not getting the marshmallows in the hot chocolate. She's not getting that. You're a grown-ass woman. What were you doing at his house? Oh, you're a prostitute? She wasn't, even in the documentary, thank God, at some point, somebody, her new counsel that is able to get her to clemency where she was able to be released, they said, if it were today's standards, we would see her as a child sexual abuse victim. We would not see her as a prostitute. And the system, just failed her horribly. And it's generational even, because her mother says that she drank alcohol during her whole entire pregnancy. So some women in this world, some people in this world are not born at the same start line as everybody else. There are failings that you pay for that you had no decision over. I have a daughter with Down syndrome, and when I go out, she gets a lot of grace. She gets a lot of smiles, a lot of understanding and kindness. You can see her disability. She wears it on her face, literally. And whenever I see parents struggling with a child, sometimes I wonder, well, that kid could have an invisible disability. He could have autism. They could have any number of things, and they're not given the same grace. They're looked at as a shitty mom. Oh my God, can your kid shut up? Geez, what a shitty mother. We have to look at other women, other mothers with empathy. You have to look at people and understand not everyone is dealing with the same fucking deck of cards. It will save you so much stress in your life when you could just chill the fuck out and look at people as humans, not get mad at every fucking thing that happens. Do you know what I mean? Not judge people to try to make yourself feel better. Maybe deal with your actual fucking life instead of judging other people. You know what I mean? That whole splinter out of your eye. Okay? You're walking the fucking plank. If women were viewed as people and not objects for men's use, I believe Bree Olson would be seen as a struggling mother and not just a dumb bitch. Because honestly, the shit she's doing seems like you're not well. You need your kid. Your heart is hurting. And this is the only thing you can do to kind of dive in to try to pretend like that's not happening. But you're going to get an attorney and you're going to rallies for domestic violence. But then you're fucking handcuffing yourself to Santos and really doing dumb shit. You're just a young mother in crisis that does not need the whole internet telling you what a piece of shit you are. And I am not gonna join that echo chamber. I'm not gonna. And I'm not gonna allow my platform to be an echo chamber for that. I'm gonna see that and you try to use that as an example, because if you can look at a woman that you have nothing in common with, you don't agree with her life choices, but you can still decide to see her as a human and respect her, I think we as women, we're getting closer to that glass ceiling. If women were seen as people and not just burdens to men, radicalized young men wouldn't be blaming us for all of the problems. If we weren't seen as the ones who brought sin into the world, for every strong man, he's got a supportive woman behind him. If we weren't the backbone of everything and seen as objects for men's use, they wouldn't have a reason to blame us for every goddamn thing. We are just humans too. We don't have some special gene that makes us like cleaning and like serving you on your favorite plate. There's no special gene for that. You just, okay, well, there's no one else is going to do it, so I got to do it. If women were seen as people and not criminals, Cyntoia Brown's would have been a different story from the start. So I just want you to search your heart and ask yourself, where does my opinion of women come from? How do I treat women that are not like me or not like something I approve of? And, play with that. One of my favorite creators on TikTok, Jasmine's Garden, she always says, I'm going to say something that's going to cause your cognitive dissonance to disengage the critical thinking part of your brain, and I'm going to need you to hold on. And truly, you got to learn to support women and see women with empathy the same way we see men. Don't allow double standards to exist. And I'm not saying we allow shitty things to exist. You still call people out, or, you know, but sometimes support is never shitting on someone and telling them what a bad job they're doing. That is never support. That's just ugly. And that's never helpful. So thank you for spending time with me, whether you were folding laundry, driving to work, or just kind of taking a moment for yourself and you decided to spend it with me. Thank you so much. If you felt seen, challenged, heard, validated, or just a little connected after this episode, please do me a favor and subscribe, like, leave a comment. Let's stay connected. You can also hang out with me on social media. I go live on TikTok just about every single day. I like to say, while your husband's at work, I'm available on the internet to help you leave him. Do not feel stuck. There is a community of women that are emerging motherhood that are here to support you. Until next time, be kind to yourself. Take up space. Use your voice as you can, as you feel comfortable. And remember that healing is not linear, and you're doing better than you think. I love you.
Act like it's new what you're telling me. I'm curious, George. I hop in the Porsche, 5 and a horse. I'm ready for war. I'm coming for...